Never judge a book by its cover. Honestly, this is a very common saying that I think is really unique, and honestly, I do believe in. Because this story I'm about to tell you guys, let's just say, has a lot of, well, judging a book by its cover. And let's just say what I find inside the book, or in reality, a girl that I was talking to, well, was more than it seemed. Also, on top of that, if you guys haven't already, I am starting a new series on this channel called High School Survival Guide, where basically I will be telling you guys ways to survive high school in the best way possible. So if you guys are already in high school or have questions about high school and you guys are going on to it, comment down below you guys' questions and I will gladly answer them in the series. And on top of that, did I already tell you guys that I am currently live streaming live on Twitch right now as we speak? So click in the link in the description down below to join us live. And let's get straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place back in my grade 10 year. Grade 10 was the year where I was kind of just getting into the shebang of things. And by shebang, I do mean devil's tango. Because, you know, I was talking to a lot of girls that time. That was like almost one of my prime moments in high school, hitting grade 10, because that's when puberty really hit me. Hit me the right way, I guess, in a way. It was just kind of funny. But going on, though, I remember when I was walking around my high school in grade 10, I remember I was sitting in my cafeteria. Reminder, I did skip a class that day. That's why I said I had like a free block, when in reality, I was just skipping. And I remember I was just sitting in my cafeteria, kind of bored, just, you know, going on my laptop and playing video games until I realized that a girl walked into the cafeteria. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, don't judge a book by its cover. I remember when this girl walked in, she looked outstanding. She actually was beautiful. She was phenomenal. She had a really nice cherry. She had nice peach. Like she was really good. In my opinion, she was almost a 10 out of 10, which is very rare in these circumstances, people. Like high school, you don't find rare 10 out of 10s easy. Anyways, I remember I ended up looking at her and I closed my laptop immediately and walked up to her. I'm like, oh, hey, like, what's going on? She looks at me and she's like, oh, like, aren't you supposed to be in class right now? And I look at her and I'm like, are you a teacher? She looks at me and starts laughing. She's like, no, like, I'm just part of the leadership club here at the school. Now, funny enough, leadership club, if you guys do know what that is, basically is when a bunch of high schoolers or people in school basically put on themselves this role to be in a leadership club. Honestly, in my opinion, I thought it was the most dumbest thing in the world, because let's be real here, what kind of kid really needs leadership? Like, if I was a leader, I'd probably make an army of devil's tango people and just take over the universe. Actually, I should not be saying that. That sounds really bad. Anyways, going on. I remember as I was like talking to her and stuff, she was explaining to me how, you know, she wants to make the school a better place and that, you know, she's a very different type of person. In my opinion, I really didn't care. I thought she was just hot, so I just decided to talk to her. I don't really care about all the other stuff that I heard out of her mouth, but honestly, there was one word that really stuck out when she was talking to me though, and that was aliens. For some reason, she wanted to change our science unit to talk about aliens and how aliens exist. Now, guys, I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe aliens exist. I don't believe there is another living thing out of us. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if we get on the topic of aliens, I don't believe they're real. I think there's like maybe like a plant maybe in the universe that, oh, it's a living thing. It's an alien. Oh, but unless it walks and talks and wants to probe my booty cheeks, I don't really care for it. Anyways, going on. I remember she was just like, you know, talking about that entire time and I kind of didn't care. And I just told her, hey, like, I think you're hot though. Like, can I get your snap? Instantly, she kind of got like upset, but then she kind of smiled and just gave me her snap anyways, because I guess I was hot enough to get her snap. And then I realized that she ended up messaging me right after saying, hey, it's me. And then she looked at me IRL and she's like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, just message me. What? I'm right beside. I don't know. She was weird. I really didn't care. But anyways, I walked away from her and, you know, throughout that entire day, we were snapping each other. Then later on that day, I want to say a week goes by and I'm not going to lie. She managed to make the school have a science unit where basically we talk about aliens existing in other forms of life. I don't know. It was absolute BS. But anyways, let's get to the juicy part of the story for once. I remember I messaged her and I'm like, hey, like I just had a science unit on, funny enough, aliens. And then she snapped me a photo of her smiling saying, what do you think? I think it's awesome. And then I snapped back saying, oh yeah, like it's cool, I guess, you know, it is what it is. And after that, she started sending me photos of aliens. She sent me photos of like green aliens, aliens with tentacles and all this weird stuff. And she just has these saved on her phone for some reason. So I remember I looked at her and I'm like, okay, this is just very interesting. But anyways, me and her decided to hang out after school one time because, you know, she just wanted to hang out with me and talk about the cool unit. So I said, sure, why not? After school that day, me and her, we ended up going to the mall. We started walking around the mall. And afterwards, we started like looking around at stores and stuff. And there's one store that's called Spencer's. Now, no hate towards the store. The store, don't sue me, nothing. But we all know what's in the back of your guys' stores, okay? If you guys don't know what it is devil's tango toys, okay? Like they're literal toys. And I remember I went back there with her because she wanted to go in there and she ended up buying a tentacle. This tentacle was for, you know, doing the devil's tango. And I found it very odd. I remember I looked at her, I'm like, what are you doing with that? She's like, I mean, do you want to come after school to my place and see what I do with it? In my head, I was thinking, oh, you know, maybe she wants to, you know, just wants to do the devil's tango. So I said, sure, why not? I ended up going to her place, and when I do, I ended up, you know, going into her living room and sitting down. And when when I was just sitting down, she opens the toy right in front of me. She opens the toy and starts like playing with it, which is really weird. And after that, she told me, hey, like, do you want to like maybe just go to the bedroom instead? I end up kind of shaking and I'm like, sure, I guess. And then we go up there. When I go up there, I remember she instantly, like, me and her, we start making out, and then she tosses me on the bed. And when she tossed me on the bed, I remember she told me, give me a sec, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and freshen up. She ends up going to the bathroom, and when she goes to the bathroom, I remember I kind of just sit there on her bed, all weirded out, just thinking, should I get undressed now? Should I stay? Should I go? I don't really know. Like, I'm just kind of curious of what I should do. And then I remember I decided to take a look on her nightstand, because she had a nightstand. It had like comic books and stuff. And I remember I opened her nightstand and I see not one, but 4 toys for the Devil's Tango. But they weren't normal toys. They were all tentacles. All of them were alien-based Devil's Tango toys. Like, I don't know what to think, and I'm just weirded out. And I remember I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, she's gonna probe me. That day, I actually thought I was gonna get probed. And to this day, I thought maybe she could be an alien. Who knows? But I remember I'm just sitting there and I'm so weirded out and I'm terrified. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. I should not be here. I could die right now. I'm not gonna lie. I was just absolutely just terrified. And one thing led to another. She came out of her bathroom. She looked at me and she saw I had her nightstand open. And she looked at me and said, hey, like, if you want, can you put on this costume I have? She ends up opening her closet and some green alien suit that she wanted me to wear. And she hands me the tentacle that she bought that day at Spencer's and was like, I kind of want you to use this on me when you put it on. Is that okay? I look at her and I'm like, what? You want me to use a tentacle, put on a green suit, and do the Devil's Tango with you without using my own eggplant? Are you serious right now? Like, dude, I was just weirded out. I couldn't think. I just wanted to get out of there. So I remember I stood up and I told her, you know what? Just give me a minute. I need a time in the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. I look at her window and I see her window's on the 2nd floor. But somehow there was a roof that's kind of slanted that I could easily just escape from. So I remember I ended up opening her window. And luckily I still had my clothes on. Thank God I didn't take my clothes off. But I ended up jumping out of her window. I ended up running to her front door, grabbing my shoes, and then I instantly just left. I left out of there so quick that I just couldn't. After like 10 minutes of me just heading home, she snaps me and she's like, how long are you going to be in the bathroom? And I just realized that I never told her I left. So I ended up sending her a picture of me at home saying, oh, I'm at home now. Sorry, I was busy. And then she instantly, and I mean instantly, blocks me right at that moment. I'm not going to lie. Even though she was very attractive and stuff, the last thing I'm ever going to do is wear an alien outfit. It's just not me. It's not my style. And I think it's absolutely disgusting. But don't get me wrong. Like I usually say, people have different kinks and stuff. So I can't argue there. Okay, so there are places to do the Devil's Tango. And there are places to do the Devil's Beating. But one thing I will say is that doing it in school is definitely not the case. And I'm talking to you men and women. But today's story does get really insane. So make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Because seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And on top of that, this story is about to get insane. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story takes place back when I was in high school. It was my grade 9 year and I remember basically it was the year when I just started high school, funny enough. And I'm not gonna lie, when you're in middle school, you realize a lot of things that your body's changing and stuff. And when you hit high school, well, I guess people start to use their bodies for many different things. Like, for example, doing the Devil's Tango with like, I don't know, really anything that walks. Anyways, I remember my grade 9 year, I ended up taking a class called theater because I took theater classes because like one thing I really wanted to do and pursue my future career was actually, funny enough, be an actor or, you know, find any way to kind of get rid of my stutter that I had back when I was younger. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I used to have a really bad stutter. So I thought maybe taking theater would help me out and also boost my self-confidence for, you know, being in front of the camera or making videos or I don't know. I just knew I wanted to do something towards entertainment. So I remember I ended up going into my theater class, and when I entered in there, one thing I realized was that there was a lot of weirdos in there. Don't get me wrong, I'm weird, but there was a lot, and I mean a lot of weird people in that class. Like, for example, when I went in there, I remember there was a guy literally picking his nose and eating his boogers while about to make out with a chick that was right beside him. Kind of gross, but I guess, you know, it adds a certain flavor to the kiss. I don't know. It was super disgusting. And there was also another girl in the classroom that was actually, funny enough, not really almost wearing anything. She was wearing a tube top and short shorts, and I'm not gonna lie, at this point, she might as well be in a bikini. But honestly, the teacher didn't care, and it seems like I shouldn't have cared because it honestly doesn't matter, but it was just a super weird class, I'll tell you that much. So I remember I ended up going inside the class, and we ended up sitting down, and I remember we all started going in a circle, kind of introducing ourselves and all that stuff. And I remember when it came to me, I ended up saying, oh, like, hi, my name is Bubba. I like kind of like just do video games and stuff, and the reason I'm taking theater is to make like cool videos. I remember when I said cool videos, there was one chick in that class who actually like looked at me like surprising and like kind of like, I don't know, I guess found interest in me in some way. It was super weird. So I remember basically from there, I kind of just ended up actually, funny enough, making friends with her. I remember I ended up becoming friends with her, but at the same time, one thing I will say is that this girl was super, super weird because like she kind of had like a lisp, but at the same time, the only thing she would talk about is her favorite like movie star actors. And I remember when she was listing out a bunch of actors she liked, she literally ended up saying Johnny Sins. Now, don't get me wrong, that guy's an astronaut, a plumber, a space cadet. I don't know, he's a lot of different things, but an actor? When she brought that up to me, I remember I looked at her kind of oddly and said, oh, okay, cool. Acting like I didn't know who he was. When clearly, I'm not gonna lie, I could probably even be related to Johnny Sins at this point, because like we got a lot in common. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember one thing led to another, and she was telling me how like basically like she was attracted to like a bunch of like movie star actors, and like she was talking about like movie star actors as if she wanted to do the devil's tango with all of them. And what I mean by that is like, for example, she would say something like this: oh my goodness, like did you see like Tom Holland's like acting skills in that movie? Oh my goodness, oh he's like the hottest Spider-Man. Like oh my goodness, I just want to rip that sweatsuit off him. Yeah, weird stuff like that would come out of her mouth like all the time, to the point where I started realizing this girl was one like, you know, bricked up girl. So I remember I kind of just like ended up like kind of like staying clear from her, but at the same time she was like my only friend in the class, so I kind of like stuck by her but didn't really talk to her. I don't know, it's like a weird like constellation of basically like just surviving the class in some way. And then I remember when class ended, the girl ended up walking up to me saying, hey like Bubba, like do you want to like maybe like hang out sometime? Like it was really nice meeting you in the class, and like I was just wondering, like you're pretty cool, like do you want to like, I don't know, like I said like earlier, like hang out maybe? I remember I looked at her and this girl was like really nervous to ask me to hang out, and I would feel like an absolute weirdo just to say no to her right away. So I ended up saying, oh like yeah, like we can hang out at lunch if you want. And this girl got super excited about that and ended up leaving. Don't get me wrong, afterwards I kind of regretted saying yes to her, but at the same time it was my grade 9 year. Honestly, the choices we make in grade 9 don't actually like really follow us throughout the school year, so I didn't really care. Anyways, I remember I ended up going to my 2 other classes and I started hearing rumors about this girl, how she had like a certain toy that she carries around with her, but it was all like a rumor to me. And honestly, one thing I don't do is listen to rumors until like they're proven. And let's just say the rumor was proven, and it all ends up happening like this. I remember when I went to the cafeteria with her, I ended up, you know, sitting down and talking to her, eating lunch with her, and I started realizing that this girl really had like a weird fetish for actors, to the point where I started asking her like, hey, like I was just curious, like there's a rumor going around the school that like you bring like a toy with you everywhere. Like I'm just curious, like do you actually? She ended up looking at me all embarrassed and said, oh, like no, like why would I do that? As she's looking like side to side and rolling her eyes, which made her seem really, really guilty. And then I remember I kind of just said, all right, if you say so, and ended up finishing my food. But then afterwards when I said that, I remember this girl ended up actually not eating with me anymore, stood up and actually walked away. Now I guess I somehow made her mad and stuff, and don't get me wrong, I mean it's fair enough, I did bring up something out of pocket that was just a rumor, but you know, who cares? After that conversation went down, I remember the next day at school, I ended up going to my theater class and I started realizing that this girl was kind of avoiding me, but at the same time being weirded out by me. But don't get me wrong, I was still her only friend in that class, so she stuck by me as well, and we kind of just became partners for everything. And then afterwards, for some reason, in the middle of class, when we were like doing like a acting exercise, I remember this girl for some reason was acting so weird while she was looking at something on her phone, to the point where she got up and ended up leaving the class and said that she had to go to the bathroom. She ended up leaving for the bathroom, and I remember this girl was not returning back to class because she was like gone for like more than 20 minutes. And my teacher was worried about her, so I remember my teacher ended up pointing me out saying, Bubba, can you go find the student? I remember when she asked me to find her, I was really confused and didn't know what to do. But I basically stood up and I ended up looking for the girl and trying to figure out where she was. I remember I ended up walking down the hallway. I ended up looking in the cafeteria. I almost looked everywhere, to the point where then I ended up hearing a noise coming out of the bathroom. It was a noise that kind of went like this. Oh my goodness. Super weird noise. So then afterwards, I remember I ended up going close to the bathroom and I kept hearing her making really weird moaning noises, to the point where I realized this girl was definitely doing something sus. Then afterwards, I remember I actually ended up going into the bathroom. Now, going into the girl's bathroom is the most dumbest thing, and no one should ever do it because it is severely, I don't know, it's like almost illegal, okay? But I ended up going into the girl's bathroom to see where she was, to bring her back to class. And when I went to the bathroom, the moaning got louder and louder, to the point where I realized this girl is definitely doing the devil's beating. So knowing this, I didn't know what to do. So I ended up, funny enough, kind of like looking over the stall in the next bathroom stall that was beside her. And I started realizing there were 4 different devil's tango toys on the floor of the bathroom. And for some reason, they're all shaped like different eggplants. And I started realizing there were names on the side of them that were of actors, basically, that she really liked. liked. And she was watching, I guess, movies of those actors in it. It was so weird. And I remember I was looking at it and I went, and when I breathed in so loudly, I guess she heard me, ended up looking up and she panicked. I remember she was freaking out, like screaming, like, oh my goodness, like, what are you doing in here? And basically ended up pulling up her pants and everything. She came out of the bathroom and said, but like, what are you doing? Like, are you serious right now? At that point, I remember I looked at her and said, listen, I'm not gonna say anything, but like, can we go back to class? She looked at me all angry, and let's just say, I want to say like 4 days later, yeah, she wasn't my friend anymore. And basically people ended up finding out about her toys because someone went through her bag and ended up pulling every single eggplant out. Yeah, that guy was me, because I was dared to do it. All right, so what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to an insane story. So today's story takes place back when I was in high school, and it was actually my grade 11 year. Now in grade 11, I will say I did a lot of the devil's tango, but one thing specifically that I remember was that one thing that was very popular throughout the school was for some reason girls using different types of items to basically, you know, arouse themselves. Ladies, if you're watching this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I remember one day when I was walking through my school hallway, there was one girl in my school that was very, very odd. And by odd, I mean not a lot of guys wanted to, you know, not do anything with her because she was a very interesting person. But as for me, well, back when I was in high school, and especially my grade 11 year, I would do anything that walked. Whoa, what the hell? Did you guys just hear that voice crack? Okay, I am a little sick, but I did not expect that voice crack. I'm gonna leave it in the video, but please don't make fun of me. Going on though, I remember basically I would do anything that walked. So I didn't really care if, you know, she was kind of a weirdo or if she was a little overweight. Like, you know, fat girls need love too. I wasn't fat phobic. Well, I mean, I am now, but still, don't make fun of fat people. Unless they are really fat, then make fun of them. But going on with the story, I remember I always found it curious of why many people didn't like her. So I remember I walked up to my buddy and said, yo, bro, I have a question. Why does everyone think that chick's weird? Her? Dude, did you not hear the story? Yeah, what about her? Bro, did you not hear about how she like, you know, like carries like, you know, toys with her? Toys with her is what I said. And then that's when he told me about the story when cheerleaders ended up going into the girls' change room and saw that she was playing with a tentacle that vibrated. Now, when I say tentacle, I mean actually a tentacle. I don't mean an eggplant. I don't mean a cucumber. I mean an actual tentacle. And if you guys actually need an image for an example, imagine putting this up your never mind. You know what? That's too much. YouTube, don't demonetize this video. I swear I'm trying to keep it PG. Anyways, when I heard about this, I remember I was super weirded out. I was like, there is no way that this girl would shove a whole entire tentacle up her thingy-mabob or her, you know. But then that's when this guy ended up telling me, bro, literally go ask Jared. Literally, Jared did it with her. And I'm not joking. He's scarred for life. He's scarred for life? Why would he be scarred for life? Bro, I'm not joking when I say this. The girl ended up putting a tentacle up his... Okay, whoa. I'm not gonna hear about the rest of this, but that's really gross, is what I said afterwards, because there was no way I wanted to hear the full story about the devil's tango with another guy. And honestly, rip Jared's butt. I can't imagine that happening, but to be honest, let's just say after hearing about that, I've decided that maybe, just maybe, it would be best to stay away from this girl. So I ended up doing my own thing. I went to my classes, did my own thing, you know, the usual, until I ended up seeing that this weird girl was heading for the change rooms. Now, after hearing the story of what my homie told me, I thought it would be a funny idea to kind of just follow her, see what she's doing. So I ended up following her until she ended up entering the girls' change room. And that's when I just stood outside thinking, whoa, what am I doing? I can't go in there. And that's when one of the girls that I used to hook up with a lot ended up walking towards me. She walked towards me saying, Bubba, what are you doing outside the change room? Nothing. I'm just, you know, about to go into the guys' change room. What's going on with you? Oh, nothing. I was about to go change for PE class, but I mean, I got like 10 minutes. Do you want to do it real quick? Yeah, sure. Okay, just come into the change room. There's no one in here yet. I always come here really early. Sure. So I ended up going in there with this other girl. Knowing that there was another person also in the change room made things really weird for me, but at the same time, when I entered in there, I saw that she was nowhere to be found. I found this very odd because I remember that the weird girl was in there, but she wasn't there. And well, honestly, the other girl that ended up, you know, wanting to do it with me, well, we just ended up doing the devil's tango. But then right afterwards, I remember midway through, as I'm hitting it from the back, I ended up hearing a vibration noise. Now, this wasn't coming from my eggplant, that's for sure. But as I was hearing this thing, I'm like, wait a second, where's that coming from? And that's when I realized one of the bathroom stalls inside the change room had a vibration noise coming out of it. I remember I ended up stopping midway through the devil's tango. And basically, I ended up walking away from the girl that was literally, you know, just standing there. She found it weird and said to me, Bubba, what's wrong with you? Do you not hear that? Is what I said to her. And that's when she ended up, you know, kind of looking around thinking, I don't hear anything. And then that's when I realized what was going on. I remember I ended up basically grabbing this girl's hand saying, yo, get your clothes on real quick. We ended up putting our clothes on. She was actually freaking out thinking that someone was going to walk in. And me, I remember I ended up getting my pants on and I walked straight for the stall that had the vibration noise and it ended up knocking on it. When I knocked on it, I remember I heard a girl going, oh, sorry, who's there? And that's when I stayed quiet because there was no way I was going to let this girl know that there's a guy in the change room. I could get in serious trouble for that. So that's when I ended up calling in the other girl saying, say something real quick. And then that's when this girl said, just get out of the change room. I'll handle it from here. And that's when I ended up just running outside the field, basically just putting my clothes on and not trying to look suspicious at all. I remember like 10 minutes later, the girl that I ended up doing the devil's tango with ended up walking outside. She walked outside and walked up to me saying, Bubba, you have no idea what she was doing in there. What was she doing is what I said. As we were doing it, she was literally playing with a vibrator. And I'm not joking when I say this. It was a tentacle, a purple tentacle. I remember my eyes opened wide and I thought this was the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. But at the same time though, I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, like Curious George the monkey, I was a curious person back when I was in high school. And I wanted to know what in the world was this tentacle looking like going into her. It was just a common idea or mindset I had. I don't know. It was really dumb. But at the same time though, reminder, I'm a hypersexual. So, you know, I'm always in the mood. So I remember one time when I was walking down my school hallway the next day, I ended up basically seeing the same girl. Now, she was one of those girls that were really, you know, well, not in the more attractive scale is what I'm gonna say. But I remember I walked up to her and said, hey, like, I have a question for you. She ended up looking at me super weird saying, oh, hi, Bubba. What's going on? So like, I heard a rumor and I'm gonna be honest, like, I find it kind of attractive. By any chance, do you like tentacles? She ended up looking at me freaking out. She said, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe? And that's when I told her, oh, it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Many girls say my eggplant looks like a tentacle. And when I said that, I'm not joking to you guys. Her eyes opened wide. She freaked out saying, wait, seriously? Yeah, is what I said. And that's when she ended up basically saying, can I get your number? Yeah, sure. And that's when I gave her my number. And I remember as she walked away, she ended up texting me her address and a time to show up. I remember that exact same day, I ended up going to her place. And well, when I got there, we headed straight for the bedroom and we started doing the devil's tango. But I remember midway through, I'm not joking, she ended up basically feeling really bored. Now, this was the first time that a girl got bored with me in bed, or especially during the devil's tango. So I remember I ended up saying, yo, like, you good? Like, what's going on? Nothing, like, I just need to be aroused. And that's when she pulled out the tentacle. And I'm not joking when I say this, that thing was bigger than, well, BBC. If I can say that without getting demonetized, honestly, YouTube, you're insane. But going on, I remember when I saw that, I was freaking out. I'm like, okay, no. And that's when I backed away, getting my clothes and actually running away to my car and driving off as fast as I could. I remember the next day, she ended up walking up to me asking what happened, but I didn't say anything because I just felt super uncomfortable. Because knowing about what happened to the other guy when the girl ended up putting it inside, you know, it's just gross, okay? But anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.